these days.
Exactly that. Well, we are going to see, is it Delver versus Mono Red Painter? These are two decks we haven't seen yet. The other decks going across the splattering of players is we've got some Boris Energy versus Breach, and we've got the Demir Tempo deck up against the Gruul aggro deck. So potentially a lot of quick games could happen this round. That's what we're going to start over in Legacy. Talk me through Mono Red Painter. What is the game plan?
Yeah, so Mono Red Painter, you're trying to get Ash is trying so hard to look cool on camera. There you go, girl. Sorry, I couldn't help but notice she kept trying to fan a perfect 7. Anyways, Painter is trying to set up the card Painter Servant, name typically the color blue, and then activate Grindstone, which you sort of mill until you hit, a color, a non-repeating one, and that hits everything. You lose the game. A little hee hee ha ha. One of the big parts of this deck is it gets to main deck both Red Elemental Blast and Pyroblast. Those are spells that say counter target blue card or destroy target blue permanent for a single red mana. Legacy, historically dominated by blue decks. We've seen a lot of blue in our feature match area, but also combine that with the Painter Servant, it's just counter anything in the opponent's deck.
And over on the other side, we're going to have Is It Delver? So this is like, it's kind of like I'm not going to say the good guy of the format, but it does what it says on the tin. Everybody knows Delver. It wants to be a tempo deck. Get on the board early and then protect its threat. And in this case, the threat is going to be a Dragon Rage Channeler on turn number 1.
Yeah, and this is a card we saw really have a big impact on Legacy on its release and has continued to be a solid threat as Bolt tries to take it down, but Daze protects it.
And this is exactly what I mean. We're going to get this threat, stick it, close the game out that way. I believe that is a snow-covered mountain digital, the pixel version, I believe. I think it's because I own that one. We're going to get in there for point damage. We leave that card on top. So it's going to be a slow, it's like a slow bleed for this Delver deck, right? There's no just one big combo turn win. It is just chip it nickel and dime, a bit of damage in here and there until we're able to potentially take the W. Here comes a Ponder. Look at the top 3, put them back in any order, draw a card, but you can also shuffle before you do that draw phase. It turns out we like them, so we'll keep that one. Now we've got instant and sorcery in the graveyard. Now we've got land in the graveyard, and Bauble is going to be the third one, giving us Delirium. So now Dragon's Chandler will become a 3/3.
Yeah, maybe a minor misstep here from Ashlyn, not using this Ponder in the main phase. Thinking it might be really hard to get Delirium, but sort of hit runner perfects. As Ancient Tomb.
For the namesake card of the deck, Painter Servant is going to come down, and you got to imagine the color named is going to be blue for the reasons that you said earlier on. Main deck, Red Elemental Blasts and Pyroblasts. Pass the turn back. Do see a Red Elemental Blast in hand.
Yeah, I think that the One Ring and some lands. Urza Saga, a couple.
How do I want to go forward? We have to attack. Delirium is on. It is a 3/3 flyer now. We'll take that damage, drop down to 14. Let's Painter Servant on the screen. I don't feel like enough Scarecrows get printed anymore in Magic.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the last Scarecrow that's a true Scarecrow, not just, like a Changeling. I think there was one in Bloomborough, but I might be mistaken. There's like a mascot recently that was actually a Scarecrow, if I remember correctly.
I was thinking, isn't the one that like you can basically go and I'm being told Dustmore had a few, some that like go fix your mana or something like that, go find a X mana, put it on top of your decks type effect.
But yeah, Scarecrow's like you'll guess with colors and mana and Magic, kind of a weird lore thing. No, it's not weird though, or is a Saga.
It is not weird indeed. It is very, very good. But here comes another Goyf. We should have a Goyf count on this stream so far because we've seen so many each round now. Pyro Goyf coming down. 4 mana threat is like every other Goyf. It is going to be XX +1 on the toughness, but its power is equal to the number, or power and toughness equal to the number of cards in all graveyards or creature types. Sorry, and then when it attacks, or another one. How to pronounce the creature type of this? Lurgoyf? Lurgoyf. And it's the battlefield, and your control deals damage equal to the power to any target. So it can really close out the game quickly in this instance, and it works a lot in your favor when your opponent's trying to get Delirium on.
Definitely. And you see Ashley here taking a read of Pyrogoyf. She was playing a lot of Magic, but actually took the last year to go do some other stuff and is getting back on the grind here. So maybe hasn't even seen, the Pyrogoyf before, but knows that that's something we have to answer. So cast Brainstorm Response, like the first card left on top, didn't surveil it away.
Imagine stepping away from Magic for a year. What a year to have stepped away from. Come back and be like, what are these MH3 cards? What's this Flage thing? What's this the one what?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, definitely a situation where, I think Ashley knew the main ones. But I think it's the stuff like this that really blows her mind. She sees 6, for example, in Modern, and it's like, what's going on here? Stifle.
Ooh, okay. Surveil trigger. And we're going to, I believe we're stifling the Pyrogoyf's effect to be able to do damage here.
I believe so as well.
Pass the turn back. Wasteland off the top. That's going to be a nice answer to potentially that Urza's Saga if you want to fire it off. Do you see another Dragon Age Channeler? That's the next way of adding pressure to the battlefield. We'll start off with getting some damage in first. It's going to go down to 9. Second, Darcy's going to come down. Then we're going to get upon a double Surveil triggers. And it's really like good at sculpting the hand here, right? Like this is like one of the advantages of now having Dragon Age Channeler over potentially a forgot the word of it, Delver. Delver of Secrets.
Yeah, I mean, Delver of Secrets is, not a weak Magic card by any means, but Dragon Rage Channeler, very easy to hit that Delver of Secrets stat line, and that extra selection matters so much in matchups where you only have certain cards that really interact, right? Like this Painter deck, it's weak to some of the stuff that the other decks you play against are, but not all the same cards. So having that little bit of extra, like, okay, this is like maybe a one of that's here for most of the matchups, not good against you, or maybe I find that one of that's great for this matchup. Getting that little extra selection is so big.
We got the option of land, force negation, and force of will. Looks like we're going to stack it with double counterspell on top. Nope, we're going to shovel it. We don't want any of them. If we're not looking for protection magic, what are we looking for in this deck?
I think Ash is trying to find bolts.
Oh, it's just ways to close the game out?
Yeah, I think she had a moment of, I'm going to try and control this, and then realized, wait, this Pyrogoyf is going to kill all my stuff. You're working towards like winning. I need to just actually, I think, get this game over with. Picked up another Wasteland. Mm-hmm. Not exactly the greatest thing for killing the game, but, if we can slow the game down enough, that might give us the draw steps to find the bolts.
Okay, talk me through that one then. So if we're like kind of pivot into trying to close the game out as quick as we can, we took out the Ancient Tomb, which we know, yes, it's a powerful land. It can produce 2 colors mana, but also comes with the cost of 2 life. Would you take the Saga out there, or do you think the Tomb is the line?
I think Ash realizes she's in a bit of an awkward position here and a bit behind. I think it's hoping that Edward here doesn't have a land so that we're basically killing the Saga as well, right? A situation of, hey, if I kill this Tomb, you can't Saga me, hopefully. And also, Saga, if we use this card, yeah, it puts a lot of power into play pretty quickly, but we know we have the other Wasteland to answer it. And if you're just using a turn making those constructs, I think I can beat that. Ash is really worried about bigger plays here, and this other Saga is a big problem.
So this turn we can attack with the. Oh, we're not attacking the guy. Why would we not attack there? Is there a reason that I'm missing?
I'm not exactly sure. Maybe it isn't big enough to actually kill one of the Goyfs, which is not kill the Darcy. I think it is. Sorry. It's whenever it attacks. It's not when. Yeah. Sorry. For some reason, I thought it triggered when it attacked as well.
It's got to do damage, right? I think.
Yeah.
This creature we've not used the Pyroblasts, got rid of the blocker attacks. I don't know. It didn't pan out that way.
It's whenever it or another Lurgoyf enters, it triggers, right? That's the only time it does that. For some reason, I thought it was on attack as well.
Well, we found the lightning bolt. We were able to get the damage in, protect our threats, take the game down. So Ash is going to be able to take that one down for the team. We're going to move across to standard, though, where looks like the Gruul aggro deck was able to take down game number 1, as they're now going to go into game number 2. Gruul aggro deck we've seen already today, super powerful. Lots of players picking it up. What do you think the reason for that is?
In my opinion, Gruul is one of the best decks in Standard. I mean, Esper Pixie is also really great. Hard to argue it maybe isn't one of the, if not the best deck. But Gruul has a lot going for it. One, it's brutally efficient. It's a deck full of cheap and powerful cards that actually grind a lot better than I think the Demir Tempo does on average. Demir Tempo has cards that make it go way over the top when it comes to card advantage, but this deck, nickel and dimes players really effectively and just generates a lot of, passive card advantage via pressure or just hard card advantage with cards like Questing Druid, right? Innkeeper's Talent protecting my guys, giving me toughness and power in the form of counters. That counts. And so I think you're seeing players really value the efficiency and the ability to go long and kind of have a game versus everyone. And, it's also just a deck that is very appealing. It has a lot of free wins, and that's something that players really tend to gravitate towards. May French tends to gravitate towards Demir Tempo decks. We saw her last year in our championship play this deck and play a lot of other mid-range decks. In Modern, we see her play a lot of things like either the best deck in the case of like Breach or some of these grindier decks. And this is a deck she has been a big fan of when it comes to Demir Tempo. We saw her put up a top 16 in the Atlanta Spotlight Series playing this deck, and, has sort of been advocating for it for a while. Even if she maybe doesn't think it's the best thing, it's something that she really likes and thinks has a lot more game than maybe the average person.
And how much emphasis do you put on that? Yes, you can pick up the best deck in the format, but you still need to know how to play it. But being able to play something that the insides out, when to turn the corner in certain situations, how to get the most out of every single card, which really puts the emphasis on learning your deck in a format. How key and important do you pit that when you're like coaching a player? You're like, okay, we're playing this deck, you're going to learn every interaction of it, or you go, we're going to pick up the best deck on that week.
Yeah, I think it's a very long conversation to have as the Heartfire hero dies and does 1 to May. I think the too long didn't read this. I think players overvalue how much knowing a deck matters in comparison to playing the best deck, assuming that it's not some weird sort of thing like, let's say, KCI or something like that. That might be kind of hard. Aiden has missed a land drop. So we can go more into that maybe after this round. But my too long didn't read this. I think people overvalue it. But it is important. I don't want to make it seem like it's not something, as May is just killing every mice. Yeah. She actually hates mice. She talks about it all the time at dinner. It's very awkward. We're like, you gotta stop talking about this.
It's kind of relevant at this point, but there's a second land drop eventually on turn number 4. May has fired off the 3 removal spells that answered everything, and I also see another go for the floating hand as well as a sweeper. And the last card I think is a drowner. That's the blue card we can see at the back. Looks like it's got sided in a Gix command. That's one of the best kind of black sweepers for these low to the ground aggro decks. Here comes the Druid.
I'm going to say it. This game is pretty even now that Aiden drew a second land. Like, May's still ahead. She has more mana and more powerful cards available to her. But Alden, pardon me, had actually drawn a land there, I would have felt like this game is a lot closer than maybe it looks. The Soulstone Sanctuary getting activated definitely gives May a clock finally that can kind of take over the game. But we have a lot of really strong cards in hand here.
Oh, this is me and my inexperience of it. Clearly, this is why they pick me with smart people like you. I didn't realize that it stays a 3/3.
This is one you invest the mana, and that's huge. I mean, it has massive implications. Just you commit your mana, it's going to be around forever. It also means it dies a lot more than you might see something from like Mutavault, but it's kind of worth it once you've committed the mana. You have this thing for the rest of the game, and it being all creature types matters a ton.
That's why I've got the Mutavault thing from like, oh, you activate it until end of turn, but no, it's actually sticking around. It's going to be a 3/3 in all creature types as well.
Yeah, we even see some Gruul players play it as kind of like an extra land that sort of, is a spell, and it's a mouse, right? So like the Heartfire hero type synergies that go along with all the other ones help here. So Manifold Mouse double strikes or trample set, like that's a very real thing that comes up. And once you commit that mana once, you kind of have it. So we're gonna have to see kind of how the game keeps going here. But May with Preacher of the Schism and this Vigilance 3/3, she's kind of dominating the battlefield, and we just really need one more mana. If we had 3 lands, this Gruul deck would be kind of firing very well here.
Nice sequence. We've got the Manifold Mouse on the battlefield. Here comes the Patchwork Recruit. Poor Patch Recruiter. A lot of P's going on in that sentence. Coming down, and in response to it, this is where we're going to hit the stun counter on the mouse. Don't want to get any triggers happening that are unnecessary. Yep, that is going to resolve, and then we're going to see the Patchwork come into the battlefield. 1 mana left open. We've got access. I think I see a Torch the Tower in hand. I also think I see a Monstrous Rage. Definitely bottlenecked.
Yeah, bottlenecked. We hit that second land. We needed that questing druid to kind of hit land plus something we could play. It did half of that here.
Yeah. And we're going to take out the threat that we want to. Means that our threat can't be shuffled in. That's one less option for May here. But I feel like May's on the beatdown plan. Like, whoa, I'm closing this game down. Well, you can potentially cast one spell a turn, or at least one impactful spell a turn. I'm going to start turning things sideways. I'm now starting to generate a bit of a board presence, getting some life linkers on there, or chump blockers, as well as having access to now double go for the throat in hand, as well as a Gix command. Kind of everything's going well for me right now.
Yeah, got a lot of free time, and now is still like not hitting like a land patch and just being able to continuously use all these resources. It's really pulling her so far ahead. It's going to be pretty hard for our hero here on Gruul to actually get back into this game at this point, especially with missing on the land there. Just a lot of pressure, and it's not going away anytime soon.
Tessa Tance was the draw. Not exactly what I want right now. A lot of options, but they all seem to be like 2 mana or not really got a good target for it. So, is there an opportunity of us being able to set up for one big turn and pull away? Looks like we're holding up the 2 mana for the extra druid that we've got in hand.
Yeah, you can do a lot of damage with this deck, right? Like you monstrous rage double strike, that's 10 damage. In a lot of situations, it would only be 8 right now. But obviously that's half of May's life total. So I think we're a little far from actually being able to win out of nowhere, but it's not such an unlikely thing for this deck to be able to do something like that.
Make a bunch of cast spells in hand. She's ready for it if any shenanigans was to happen. So I think we'll be able to close this one down and level it up and to get us to a game number 3. Here it comes, end of turn. We're going to cast Seek the Beast. Exile top 2. We can play at the end of our next turn. Kill spell while you're tapped out, because we could be playing around things like Snakeskin Veil, which there are a number of copies here in the deck for Alden. Land drop for turn. Now we're facing lethal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on the battlefield.
We know this game is over because of the anoint in hand and the inability to put up enough counter pressure. Yeah, and now the player does as well. So let's go check on Legacy, as I think it started back up again here, and we'll try and see how May French can handle game number 3 in the future. As we've come back to a very weird game.
Wow, it looks a little one-sided right now. There's a lot of permanence on the battlefield. Leyline of the Void at the top. So that's one way of stopping the delirium going on. It's also a way to stop any sort of Delver shenanigans, which could, when I say Delve, I mean that as in the mechanic Delve for Murktide Regents. Is there any other sort of graveyard shenanigans going on? I'm having a little look through the deck. It doesn't look... Oh, there's one Mystical Sanctuary as well. So that's like the graveyard bit kind of turned off. Do you think that's a good reason to bring in Leyline the Void, or is this paying into the Painter's sort of game plan at all?
Yeah, I think we see Consign here on the One Ring massive. I think this game's actually deceptively close. Ash's threats are turned off for the most part, but and here's an Null Rod. She has a lot of game still here and has been picking away at these Urza Sagas, and sometimes you have these all-in burst hands, and if you don't have a kill, you're kind of down a lot of resources to hopefully stop your opponent. Well, Ashland's deck plays way better off the top and in these sort of situations than the Painter deck does. So as long as you can dodge, like a Pyrogoyf type card, which obviously is going to not be as impactful given the Leyline of the Void, but if you can keep, the game relatively simple, she probably has the time to sculpt together a real draw. And this is a spot where Delver of Secrets proper really shines in comparison to the DRC like we talked about in game number 1.
There's the Grindstone. That would have been the win right there on the spot, right?
Yeah, if there wasn't this Null Rod in play, it would be over, and you see, just why like that card is coming in against these decks.
So how can we get that Null Rod off the battlefield? I say we over on Edward's side. I'm looking at the deck. So let's say everything's is now a blue permanent. Would a red elemental blast be able to get it off the battlefield?
Yeah, our own red could definitely get it. We could also use something like Brazen Borrower. I'm not sure if that's in Ashland's deck this weekend, but that's a card you sometimes see as a one of. I'm sorry, pardon me. The red deck could use the things. Ashland can stop the painter in response to that. My mistake. I did not finish my thought there. As it actually looks like
I kind of got what you meant
painter.
weirdly as well.
Yeah. I left the word out, which is critical to not doing commentary. But by God, I took a risk. It didn't pay off.
But we were talking about it before. We're both dyslexics in the booth. It's fine. We don't need words. Words aren't our friends. But yeah, here we are as commentators. Here is a beautiful looking saga, I must say. It is everybody's favorite fable of the Mirror Breaker, but it's going to go to the graveyard and get caught with a daze. It always feels good when you get to daze something that your opponent spent the whole turn doing.
Yep. And you see this here, Ashland just ripped a ponder it was set up earlier with the DRC Surveil, and now gets to sort of look through and be like, okay, what do I want to do here? Found a Daze on top, pretty tempting. A lot of Edward's deck is around 3-ish mana, at least for the cards you care about right now. But also, you kind of have to work towards actually winning this game in a timely way. And yeah, you see her shuffle it away.
Also, a bit force of will in the graveyard. This is my inexperience of Legacy, I guess. Then I feel like I've got my threat. I want to protect it. That force of will plus a blue card in my hand stops the next relevant card that Edward would end up playing.
Yeah, the problem is that this DRC was like not under a Leyline of the Void. I think your line makes a lot of sense, right? It'd be like, let's say a 6-turn clock, that's like at least a lot more defensible. Currently, Ashland's on a 16-turn clock, which is a significant difference.
True that. I also see that there is a force of will in hand as well here. So here we go. We're on a 15-turn clock. 1 mana away from being able to actually hardcast that force. That's a Fury and a Painter. Oh, okay. I feel like I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it out loud anyway, just because. So if Painter is named blue, can we ditch a card from our hand to cast the Fury?
Yeah, I believe it adds an additional color, if I remember correctly. I need to read Painter again off the top of my head. I don't know if it says like Override. All cards that aren't in play and spells or permanents are the chosen color in addition to their other colors. So yeah, you can evoke a Fury if you have a red card in hand and the Painter in play.
Here's a hardcast force of will. Now, I'm here to ask the dumb questions. That is literally my job. Here comes the force of will on the Fable Surveil. We like that card. We're going to keep it on top. And
this is great news for Ashland too. Like having there's the Delver that she surveilled to the top here. Yeah, but having an answer there, with the Ancient Tomb paying the life means even though this Painter Servant is now kind of blocking the way, we at least have something to take care of all that. So
Delver, the top card, it's going to flip from a Brainstorm. Easy. Didn't ever not have it. Now we've got a 3/2 flyer. We start getting more of that chip damage in, especially if it down to 10.
Yeah, Ancient Tomb costing a lot of life here, right? That thing's done 6 damage to us, so I counter correctly. That's the difference in a couple turns with Delver.
Do we want to fire that Brainstorm off now?
Yeah, interesting. Traditional wisdom is to hold your brainstorms as long as possible, but we're also in a position where maybe we want to actually get another type of Delver type card on the board just in case, or maybe find another answer spell. We drew a City of Traders with Fury, but no second red because the Lotus Petal is turned off.
I think we really need another red card right now, so Fury can clean up this battlefield, stem the bleeding, let us get a few more turns down, and potentially try and take this this W. But we're going to play the City and just pass the turn. Debating if we want to Brainstorm on the turn. We do not. Get an extra draw. Didn't get a good look at what that was going to be. Combat. Drop down to 4. So close to lightning bolt range, but realistically could be turning off this Ancient Tomb now. Didn't get a look at what that was off the top. It was a Painter Servant. That's not red.
Yeah, this mono red deck's having some real issues evoking this Fury.
Another painting coming down. Name blue again. Or renaming red. Does that make the grind station a hand?
Yeah, now it makes it red. So we need to hope if you're Ashland, you have a counterspell with someone interact. Like you mentioned, blue elemental blast could help here.
That might be the card in hand, actually.
Yeah, so force and negation's gonna get binned. I think Ash drew a Daze as one of those cards in 2 lands. It's a little hard to make out. The good news for Ash is that, this is at least an evoked Fury. So if it does hit, it will not be there to, put this really quick clock on. We need 4 Dazes to get through all the mana up for Edward. Not likely given we've already used one. Would be great news for Edward. We would get to DQ Ashland for cheating, which would mean he would get the win.
I love all these little iterations of Legacy. Like there's so many micro decisions. So Daze, return the island, surveil, hit the sanctuary in the graveyard. I'll pay the 1.
Yeah.
Fury's going to resolve, clean the battlefield.
I love this. So Ashland knows the Daze isn't going to actually do anything for the rest of this game, knows the top of the deck is bad. We talked about having a lot of lands there, and I think she maybe had one. So she's basically willing to burn the Daze to skip a turn, right? Think of that as time walk for her right now. She got to skip that really bad draw step that was on top that she knew about.
Plays the land, passes the turn back. Are we on Paint a Server beatdowns now? 2 damage. Let's go in. 7-turn clock. We found out a lot of Legacy, like the grindy decks. Once they've kind of done their thing and then we get to this top deck in war, it is about who's going to be able to find the best resource. Which deck do you think has got the best chance of being able to hit that best top deck?
Ashland has the best looks with all of her cantrips. Edward has the best hits given Leyline of the Void. So it's really a moment of like looks versus, quality. Ash just picked up a bolt. So if we tap that Ancient Tomb, it's game over.
It's a blue card. And pass the turn back.
It's funny how many Legacy games actually look like this. It's actually a very common thing. Players go on low resources, have a lot of like maybe reactive cards or things that are situationally good. And, just like 1 or 2 creatures kind of beat down for a bunch of turns in a row and force the action eventually.
That's an Arena of Glory. Now that with a Pyroglyph could be pretty crazy. That with a Fury could be pretty crazy. We're going to play it, not float any extra mana.
Huh. I guess Edward just saying maybe I value having this in play for the longer term. Ash picked up Brainstorm.
It's a great one here. Spell Pierce is one of the cards in hand.
Oh, Ash has double Bolt in hand.
Bolt?
Yeah, I think Ash was waiting to make, because of the painters in the blast, she didn't want to go for it until she kind of knew it'd be safe. And now with that Spell Pierce, she knows that it's going to be A-okay because of the Ancient Tomb. And yeah, second Bolt here.
Oh, we're going to the red. Bolt.
Yeah.
I think both players had double Bolt for the win, and we were just able to see who could stack it first. It's going to be Ash being able to take that one down. So that means we're going to go across to one of our other tables. Let's have a look at how Standard is doing. Let's go back to May and Alden. Look, okay, we got some stuff going on here. We got some shenanigans. Let's break this down. That is one of the enduring
curiosity.
The curiosity effects. They were quite cool. I like the idea behind them all. But this is a bunch of removal spells that are getting thrown around. A couple of counters going. Doesn't really matter. It's going to clean the battlefield up. And it looks like May's got at least 3, maybe 4 cards in hand now.
Yeah, and it's double Curiosity Flood Pit Drowner for May. And it looks like this game's been a bit more back and forth than our last one. And, May has a bunch of 4s in hand. Now, this 4, luckily, will give you some more land drops here. And, I was going to say, if you have one going, you can sometimes get out of control here. But Obliterating Bolt, a big, big play there.
And now we tap down the blocker. They're completely tapped out. We can just attack again. 14 life. Are we thinking of maybe potentially getting a 3/3 on the battlefield with the Sanctuary? Or do you think it's better to get the Curiosity down and start just drawing cards?
I think there's a real argument to both. I think there's even an argument to not even playing the Curiosity and seeing if you can get, Alden to attack. But I like playing the Curiosity here, sort of get your card in, get a little bit of damage, and now you have another one coming. And so you really just want to make all your land drops here while you try to find some way to interact. Because May is at 7. There's not a ton of reach when it comes to burn, but there's a little bit. and the pump spells can get pretty crazy pretty quickly here from the Gruul deck. If we left some of those in, most players will cut things like Monstrous Rage in these kind of matchups and play those grindier games. But every now and again, you see like, a cheeky 1 or a Burst Lightning for 4 that kind of wins out of nowhere.
Why do you think, or what's the reason behind that? Why are they cutting these like the 1 mana cheap sort of removal pump effects?
Yeah, I think it's because of the removal. We saw in game 2 there from May, she spent her first 5 turns just playing a kill spell every turn. You just don't want to have a card like that in your deck when your opponent is boarding in so much removal, at least not in high volumes. That's typically not going to be a great plan unless you have a bunch of either creatures with some sort of pseudo protection, or you're bringing in cards like Snakescale of your own. But then you're trying to create an A plus B plus C to maybe win. It's kind of an awkward spot.
Well, we were able to find a manifold mouse, so this is going to generate the offspring. So we've now got 2 copies, potentially 2 blockers, or we're going to keep it around. We've got our life total at 12. It doesn't look like we can die in 1 hit, so maybe we want to try and make May think of the backswing that could happen. I'm sure May's fully aware of what this could happen with that top 16 finish, as you spoke about.
Yeah, May grinds this deck all the time, just jams a bunch of challenges with Dimir. She's played this matchup a ton. She's probably hyper aware, too, of like that Restless Ridgeline, untapping one of these mice to make combat a little trickier and also giving a +2/+0 if it gets double strike trample is going to be a ton and is threatening her. So it looks like she's wanting to value the Soulstone here.
So we're going to get in there for 5. I think we've seen double block. So I'm not even sure I like double block there, but
I think that we might be talking to our teammate about like what we have here. I doubt we're going to see a double block. Just probably not a very winning position. Even though May is going to maybe draw some cards if you connect here, she's very happy just to get the Manifold Mice off the board in general. And this also in Sanctuary, I think, is a great way to kind of pressure and use our mana a fair bit and get some more redraws. And that's what May needs. She needs to find something that can actually stop one of these creatures from connecting against her if it has to go unblocked or gets incredibly large.
That's the turn back. Big top deck. I think that is a Burst Lightning I can see in hand as well. But main phase, we're going to go on an adventure. We're going to cast Seek the Beast.
Yep. That will trigger other Questing Druid, and if you cast a non-green spell, gets a counter. And you're seeing May tank in response. I'm unsure if she actually has something or is, posturing.
I think it might be a little bit of posturing. There could be another one of the Drowners in hand.
Curiosity. Okay. So it looks like Bill Comendes has won the game for May French's team here. So they're going to move on to 4-0. So it looks like these players are maybe just actually talking right now. It doesn't look like they're going to finish the match. We're going to come back here and say hi. That's why things got a little weird. They're just chit-chatting now and shuffling their cards.
Maybe
that makes a lot more sense. So what's happening?
We're like, what's actually going on here? But no, the match is over, as you mentioned. But it's not on the NRG series. We've got lots more events coming up in the future. So maybe you want to take part in a team event. Maybe you want to go solo like we saw yesterday in the Modern. But there's lots of different formats that you can play coming up. So let's have a little look at some of the future events we've got happening in Season 1. One of them being, as you spoke about, there's not a lot of opportunities to play Pioneer anymore. Yes, you could play it on Arena now or whatever they want to call it on Arena. It's basically Pioneer Plus. But we've got future events coming up. So talk to me about them, Mason.
Yeah, I mean, here in Madison, Wisconsin, on the 15th and 16th of March, we're going to have a Saturday 10K Standard Showdown. And then we're going to have a Sunday 5K Pioneer Trial going on. So once again, there's not a lot of chances to play Paper Pioneer. So we're glad to have that there. It looks like the Standard players, they actually want to get some scoreboard points. We're going to go back down. May French doesn't want to make it seem like she was carried by her teammates. She wants to get the win. And so it looks like they kept playing when we left away. So what ended up happening is we cast the Questing Beast. We hit 2 lands. I was the Questing Druid there. Got 2 lands, put the Druid into play and the land, and then we pass back to May here. It looks like with no attacks.
So we do get to see what the conclusion of this would be. They are in game number 3, so it's interesting for the players. Plus, it's also a bit of a few reps coming in. We've got things like the Pro Tour coming up, the Spotlight Series, etc. Lots of opportunities to be able to play standard. So the more you get to watch at home, the better, and the more that these players get to practice as well. Because this is a good, complicated kind of board state. There isn't a clear winner yet, but there's definitely a few lines, a few top decks that could happen to change and make an outcome for this. So let's see how it pans out. As it looks like we're turning a lot of things sideways here. In fact,
Yeah,
a lot of things,
so
everything.
yeah, May's milling here, and then basically what's happening is the Spyglass Siren hits no matter what. So we're at 4. I know it says 5, we're at 4. That means the 2 4/4s need to get blocked. High level analysis from me here. And then we have these Vigilance creatures that trade with most everything. So we're sending them in as well as a way just to, sort of make combat more awkward for the opponent.
It's never good when you're the aggro deck and you're having to be on chump block duties. And even in this situation, whenever we don't block, our opponents draw more cards doing their game plan. Not the most ideal situation, but you got to do what you got to do to be able to. The game's not over. As long as you got life points, the game is not over. Famously.
Yeah, I think May might actually just potentially be dead if we do this correctly here. So, okay, this is one way to do it. We shot down the Siren. We blocked some of these things. Our question to return to a 5/5. We get hit for 4 down to 1. We could have had our Druid block the 3/3, and then have this 5/5 and set up Burst Lightning as a way to win the game. But now we are going to win just with the Restless Ridgeline unless there's a creature in the way. So this line also makes us go the distance. That Enduring Crossing is upside down as it is now a creature. And yeah, the problem with this line is the Soulstone Sanctuary is still in the way. Where the other way, there isn't a blocker and May can't survive. But,
so what, are we looking for like some sort of trampling effects?
I mean, Monstrous Rage would win. I think the way that, the game actually ends here is drawing something like Druid into a removal spell.
Burst Lightning would do it. That'd be able to
Yep.
kill the blocker plus the extra red. But oh no, wouldn't do it. Actually, with one short there as well.
Yeah, Burst Lightning doesn't get it done, I'm pretty sure. And we have the 1 card in hand, and we have to animate the Ridgeline to push the 2 points. Honestly, just a misstep here. I mean, we know May has no creatures in hand, right? Like, well, none that we can cast at least. So we have that sort of thing. But I think this is a moment where you need to make plays like this and just hope that May's on like cut downs versus your very large creature. Also, if May was on a bunch of cut downs, she might have even done that beforehand. So a great moment to go back and just sort of think over things here and be like, okay, how's my opponent played? What's going on?
Ooh, how's this one? So Test of Talents is going to come down here. Oh no, Innkeeper Talents, sorry. Not Test of Talents, Innkeeper Talents. At the beginning of your pre-comments that you get a +1/+1 counter, and we can level it a few times and do some crazy shenanigans. One by giving it ward. If we're able to pump 5 mana into it, we can double those counters as well, which are all great. But once you don't have if you don't have trample on it, it can just be blocked by a simple 1/1. Well, in this case, a 4/4.
And now we're dead on board to the creature land. Yeah, if you're coming back and watching it here, that's maybe a situation to really look back on and take a second to think about, hey, what do I have available to us? Obviously, also, match was over. We're kind of just, playing for fun. So, sometimes when you're playing with no stakes aligned, we get a little looser. We're not so stressed about everything, and that's okay.
And it's good to take that pressure off, a little bit. This is a long day of Magic. 7 rounds, team action. Yes, it's going to be a hilarious day because you're playing with your friends. You can give it a bit of banter back and forth. We're going to try and get them in the booth for an interview, kind of see why they chose these decks this weekend, who went on what deck, and if they're having obviously a great time at the NRG, which we all know they are. Mason, let's talk about the formats in general. Like, we've got Legacy, we've got Standard, we've got Modern. Which one would you kind of say is in the healthier place right now from a player's point of view?
Yeah, I think Standard's probably the healthiest in my opinion. It sort of has the most amount of like diverse decks when it comes to sort of its available card pool, if that makes sense. Obviously, Legacy has the most decks and has the most things going on, but I know some players feel a little weird about things, and we're still kind of feeling things out after the BNR, right? Like we heard earlier from Brickman, there's a lot of distaste for Eldrazi and that kind of thing. So I think it really depends on sort of what you like about Magic. I love Modern; it's one of my favorites. And I think it has a lot of great things going on. And, despite the top 4-ish decks sort of putting a lot of pressure on other things, I think there's still a lot happening there. And Standard has, been very fast and quick in the games. And I think that's not something that's for everyone, right? And I think that's one of the great things is all these formats are kind of in playable positions. Hey, you hate Eldrazi, right? Like we heard Brickman mention, well, maybe you want to go play Standard or Modern. So a lot of places to go. And theoretically, there's Pioneer. But you know what? None of that matters is our winning team is here to talk to us. So let's go down and talk to May French's team, which is, I believe, the name on Spice Rack. So I think that's a fair way to call it. Congratulations, everyone, on winning your round. How are you feeling?
We're good.
Good. Yeah. I mean, winning's good, right?
I
think.
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
I guess.
Confirmed.
Okay.
Confirmed winning is good. All right, I'm going to kick it off. I'm going to ask you, how did we come up with who was on what format and what deck? How did you decide that as a team?
Back and
So
forth.
Ash is like washed, so
Yeah,
she's
I'm
on
super
Legacy.
washed,
I
Don't
watched
worry,
her
we
play
mentioned
Modern
that on
yesterday.
coverage. I was make sure to bring it up.
That's
I was
fine.
aware.
I watched her
Yeah.
play Modern yesterday, and it was probably one of the worst experiences of my life.
Yeah, I don't. The new cards are like Yu-Gi-Oh cards. They're too complicated. They have way too much text. I can't figure them out.
Yeah, Bill's only been prepping for the RC, so he's on Modern, and then I get the standard seat because I'm apparently good at that format.
Yeah.
Did you guys watch me read a card I've never seen before, then stifle it? That's the most like washed boomer thing I could possibly imagine.
We were talking about that because Mason said that you took a little bit of a gap in Magic and you just come back to it. And I was like, imagine like to pick any year to go out of Magic, coming back after we've had like MH3 come out must be an absolute, your mind must be blown looking at some of these cards and the power level
they're
of
way
them.
too good.
How are you finding that?
Kozilek's command is a little bit pushed.
Yeah, it's too good.
Yeah. Yep, there's a lot of really strong cards shaking up the legacy format. Well, my question to you all is sort of when it comes to this event right now, you're in a position where we're very close to getting to top 8. All of you all have, top 8 multiple events in the past. And, I think a lot of times Twitch chatters have thoughts like, oh, I'm in this position. What would I do? So how do you all handle, like you're playing a bunch of win-ins back to back to back. Theoretically, that's not advice here. We make that very clear. So how do you all handle sort of that pressure, especially because let's be honest, we just saw the way May French talked to your other teammate there, especially for you, Bill. You're going to get dunked on if you lose. How do you handle having such a toxic teammate in that environment?
Well, I mean, the real thing is I have a flight that's booked, so eventually I might have to leave them. So
Bill's throwing.
whatever. We're just here for the vibes.
Great. Well, we love to hear it.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we've speaking to a lot of the players so far this weekend, and they're saying like, how are you enjoying the NRG? And it's the gathering part. That's the bit they're actually really enjoying. Right, people are coming from all around the country, from different countries as well, meeting up, being able to play multiple different formats with your friends. But realistically, is that going back out in the evening, meeting people that you haven't ever met before, or are coming back to Magic after having a little bit of a break to it? What do you think are your best experiences so far this weekend at the NRG?
People who say the Magic is about the gathering are the people who didn't do well in the tournament. Magic is
Me.
about winning.
That is me. I feel targeted right now.
So yeah, Magic is about winning, and if it's like, oh, it's for the gathering, I'm just gonna assume you didn't do too well. So sucks to suck. I mean,
we need more villains
win.
in Magic. I'm all here for this. Keep it going, mate. Keep it going.
What a heel turn for May French, all in one feature match camera interview. It really makes you think. And actually, it sparked a great question for me for Ash and Bill. What's the meanest thing May said to you this weekend?
Since that we can see on stream?
Yeah, actually, you know what?
Yeah.
Maybe we can't see this on stream. This is a little awkward here.
Can anybody say anything?
I don't think so. I May has not said
nice to
anything.
Bill.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you two are winners.
It's because I'm a boomer and like May's nice to older people, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I did watch Ash throw a game face up, so I don't remember exactly what was happening. In two different ways. It's fine.
This is exactly how I wanted to. When I team with my friends as well, this is exactly how we are. We are not that like, we'll get them next time team. We'll hammer someone if they make some mistakes. So I'm all here for this. This is really cool to see. So we're going to let you get off and maybe, build some more bridges or break them. Up to you. We're going to let you, celebrate the rest of this victory and good luck in the rest of the tournament. Maybe we'll see you in today's top 8.
Yeah.
Good luck, friends. I'll talk to you later.
You might not see me. I might be on a flight someplace, but you might see them.
Also, Mason glasses, by the way.
Thank you for the glasses compliment. They are very cool. Oh my goodness!
Hold on, I've got glasses somewhere. Where's my? Hold on.
I just got. So it turns out my eyesight was really bad. Will I thought like a lot of things I thought were normal when people are far away. It turns out people can see stuff that's kind of far away and can read cards. I always thought it was crazy when people could read a card from like on a team event from like I'm in this seat and you're the seat next to them. I'm like, dang, that person has good eyesight. Turns out I had bad eyesight, but I'll tell you who isn't bad. The record of the team we just saw there. Maybe the potential of the heel turn for May French when it comes to the NRG series. We'll have to see how that goes. But we'll check out the leaderboard as that is what we're playing for. We had May French in our NRG champs last year. She wants to come back. She won an event playing Living End right before the release of MH3, grinded a little bit, and then decided to focus on some other series and some other events in life. So she's back here when to get them. And this is our current position of everyone. So this is only yesterday's event so far. We haven't updated like with the round by round. We don't know where people are ending up. But you're going to see a lot of names you recognize having a lot of great starts to our series for 2025. And Grayson Nimitz joins Theo Jung as one of our 2 locked up players for the champs at the end of the year / beginning of next year, whenever we get that in. And we'll have that shot to play for the Pro Tour invite. Grayson's played a lot of our events. We'll probably see Grayson maybe make a run for player of the year. Honestly, we'll have to see exactly how their life's going at that point. But honestly, a lot of great names. I'm so excited to see everything. And the next event, if you want to join in the race, will be in Madison, Wisconsin, 15th and the 16th. We're going to have a standard 10K showdown on Saturday. You win the showdown, you go straight to the event with Grayson and Theo. Join them there. And then Sunday, 5K Pioneer Trial. I've said it a lot. I'll say it again. We understand there's not a lot of time to play Paper Pioneer for high stakes. We're giving you that opportunity. We'd love to see you in Madison, Wisconsin, March 15th through the 16th. And Will, that's going to do it for us this round. The round timer is just about up. So we're going to take a quick break, set up for the next feature match, and we'll see you all in just a couple minutes.